I'm Jean Hewell-Chambers, founder of the 70273 project. The 70273 project is the big fat crazy idea that I had in February of 2016 when I learned about a top secret organization that Hitler created at the end of 1939. It was Action T4. The T4 is for the address where headquarters was located. It was a group of physicians dedicated to murdering people with disabilities. And in a 20-month time period from January 1940 to August 1941, that's just what they did. They murdered 70,273 people with disabilities. Through this project, I launched the 70273 project on Valentine's Day 2016, dedicated specifically to having a quilt block, 70,273 quilt blocks to be exact, to commemorate every person that they murdered. We can't unring that bell of history. What happened, happened. But we can wrap it in kindness and compassion and make sure it doesn't happen again on our watch. Each of the quilt blocks, when you see the quilt blocks or quilts, you'll notice that the background is always white or slightly off-white. That's because Action T4 physicians never met the person they were evaluating. They simply created a questionnaire and sent the questionnaire out. So the white or slightly off-white background represents the paper of the questionnaire that they sent out. 2 red X's commemorates one person because when the questionnaires came back to Action T4, 3 physicians, assessing physicians, read over the questionnaires, and when 2 of the 3 assessing physicians put a red X at the bottom of the questionnaire, the person was murdered. So 2 red X's was a death sentence, and for us, 2 red X's is a commemoration of one person. I launched the project, as I said, on Valentine's Day 2016, and before our 3rd anniversary, we had 147 countries involved and over 76,000 blocks or commemorations. But that doesn't mean that we're stopping. The 70,273 number comes from documented records. There was a bookkeeper for Action T4, and so we went by his records. There were 6 receiving centers, and he kept a total of the number of people who were murdered at each center. That total 70,273, so that's where that number comes from. But as we now know, there were a whole lot more people with disabilities who were murdered. Maybe not by Action T4 because it was now publicly defunct, but the murdering of imperfect people continued. And the project not only commemorates those who were murdered in World War II because they were imperfect, but we also celebrate and champion the people with differing abilities today. And we hope to move us to a point where we don't even talk about abilities, but we just talk about people. Oh, the project has changed my life and the life of my family immensely. When the big fat crazy idea whooshed in and landed on my shoulder, it said, listen carefully, Shug, because this is how you're going to spend the next several years of your life and all your children's inheritance. And that's kind of what's happened so far. A lot of travel is involved because we have exhibits around the world. Even right now, as we're speaking, there are exhibits happening around the world, which is a good thing because the story is being told, the story of this atrocity, and also the story of the people today who live today, among us today, and enrich our lives because we're all different, and that's a good thing. How it has impacted me is, of course, I've met some really wonderful people around the world, and I now know that there's a lot more kindness and compassion in the world than we ever hear about in the news. And that's a good thing. I suspected that was true, and now I know it's true. You might have noticed my glasses. I saw these online, and when it was time for me to get a new prescription, I thought, well, these would go well with the project. And so at first I wore them just when I was working on the project. And then early in the spring of 2019, I was diagnosed with an eye ailment, and I see badly better out of these glasses than any other, so now I wear them all the time. And it just works out great because it helps me see the world through love, and it makes other people smile when they see it, and so that's a good thing. And you've got to be a good person to wear glasses like this. I just can't go out there and be nasty and have these glasses on. So these glasses have made me a better person. There's also going to be, at some point, well, the target date is 2 years from now, 2 things will happen. Number 1, there'll be an online searchable database on the website. and people can go there, and unless they chose to remain anonymous, if they use their names, they'll be able to find which quilt their blocks are in and where in the world that quilt is on any given day. And also, each quilt will have a QR code. So when you scan that QR code with your phone, you'll be whisked to a multimedia site of stories and photos and where it's been exhibited and short videos just about that one quilt.
Reporting from Lowdown, this is Hunter Hallbaker.